Hi, you've clicked onto today's tropical tidbit for Wednesday. Now that I've finally woken up this morning, I can finally start talking about Paula over here, which is the main feature in the Atlantic, developed out of the Western Caribbean, came across Nicaragua and Honduras and came up towards the Yucatan Channel over here. You can see it's a very small system. If you look at the close-up visible, this is just a beautiful little hurricane right here. Beautiful structure with an eye, convective, central dense overcast, very beautiful little storm coming in here. You can see the radar presentation out of Cuba, very nice with a solid eye. Moving off to the northeast now, you can see a little bit of openness on the eye wall in here, but overall very nice little system, solid category 2, and hopefully they'll get another plane in here later this morning or this afternoon to get a better idea of how this is intensity wise compared to what it was last night. And the big question with this has of course been, where is Paula going to go? This is the latest Hurricane Center forecast track. If you can see it over here, as of the 11 a.m. advisory this morning, you can see it still takes it into Cuba and then tries to curve it down and weaken it and sort of meander it around in here. This track has been shifting steadily northward since yesterday. We had it curving and stalling in here by the Hurricane Center. The very first forecast had it going like this, and this has been progressively coming farther north. I've been thinking, of course, although I haven't really voiced it because I haven't been posting, I've been thinking this has been a bit too far south, and it's been interesting to watch the model spread and the reasoning from the Hurricane Center on this. It's been a really nice forecast situation to challenge people over here, but this is something that I think will continue to start shifting north. The idea with this is that you see these models that curve it down. The whole idea was that the system was supposed to weaken, surrender to the shallow flow. You can see the push from the north over here. This was supposed to get out of here. As the trough comes in here, you get this northerly push in the low levels, which would cause this to get stuck down here and not get taken out by the mid to the deep layer flow over here. And that has been the idea. But it's also possible that some of these models are not seeing Paula quite correctly. I mean, look at how small this storm is. The resolution of some of these models is not going to be enough to pick up how deep this system really is. If we look at the vortex message from last night at 7:40Z, we need a new one pretty soon here, but the one from last night showed a flight level 700 millibar height of 2981 meters, and that's probably even lower by now this morning. If we look at the NAM 12Z initialization, the 700 millibar height field is all up near 3180 meters in this area. Nothing really showing up over here compared to the vortex message showing a much deeper system. Than this is a very high resolution model over here, initializing a height field this high. So you can see even the high resolution model is not quite seeing Paula as deep as she's supposed to be, and this makes a great difference because we have different flows in the shallow and deep layers. If we go ahead and go out to 48 hours here on the NAM and look at the 850 millibar flow, see the strong push out of the north over here. You got the flow out of the southwest, but way over here, and you got this dividing line over here, and you got this push out of the north. Can you find Paula in this image? You can see her right here. Alright, west of the Isle of I forget the name of that isle. I can't remember what the name of this isle is, but this is western Cuba over here. You can see this little niche of turning winds at 850 millibars here. Very weak little system shown on this big trough to the north. You can see it getting stuck and getting pushed down with the shallow flow. Now, let's switch it up to 500 millibars. Same time frame, 48 hours. Look where the flow is. Free ride out to the northeast over here. The system isn't even showing up at 500 millibars. Shows you how weak it is on the models. Big trough. This would be going out. This is the steering flow. Take it right out over here. So the whole reasoning for a track like this by the Hurricane Center has been that this is going to weaken. And why did they say it's going to weaken? Because of the wind shear. Check this out. Here's Paula, and look where she is. She's left of the 30 knot ice attack here for wind shear. Greater than 30 knots of wind shear supposedly over this system. But let's look over here at the satellite loop. Alright, I see nothing particularly deadly about the upper winds in this area. Do you? I don't know. And look, here's an eye. Look at that eye. I mean, this is a very well developed, very beautiful hurricane over here. Just beautiful. So what's up with this over here? Well, you got to think about the shear. I mean, the Hurricane Center is going to say shear, shear, shear. But first of all, I mean, point number one is that you see she's moving along with the jet over here. Her path is basically aligned with the jet over here. So the wind shear is not really as detrimental to the system as it may look, because she's moving in the same direction as the flow aloft. And what you're going to see is the Hurricane Center also saying, well, look, there's only one outflow channel here, one big outflow channel, and there's nothing around the rest of the system. If we look over here, the jet is acting as one big exhaust vent for air to get taken out of the system and allow pressures to lower in here, and you get your nice tight core. And of course the Hurricane Center is going to say, well, one outflow channel, nothing around the rest of the system, therefore it's going to weaken. Well, guess what, folks? Look at how small the system is. You see this little fist over here, but it's right in the Yucatan Channel. It fits in the Yucatan Channel, for Pete's sake. It's that small. If it's a system that small, one big exhaust vent is all you need. That's all you need. You don't need stuff down here. You just need this. It's one big heck of a jet coming out of the system. You've got enough upper divergence here to support a hurricane right up into the Bahamas over here if there was no land interaction. You've got enough to do that. And look at the, you can see the boundary in here where it would start to actually weaken significantly. If we go and look at the visible, here's your boundary. Alright, this is the boundary. Here's the dry air up here. This is the maximum northward path that it can take into Naples, which probably won't happen. But this is your max northward path. It's not going to cross this boundary, but as long as it stays over here in this area right here, it's not really going to weaken that much if you take away any land interaction. If it were to stay through the straits, which I think it just might, you're not going to weaken a whole lot significantly. Yes, it will weaken some, but you have the potential for this to remain a hurricane if it skirts the north coast of Cuba and comes through here. You have the potential for at least hurricane force gusts still occurring in the straits over here, and probably the potential to remain a Cat 1 hurricane. And remember the story yesterday morning when Paula was down here, was the hurricane was saying yesterday morning that this had a 12-hour window max to maintain intensity or intensify. Well, look at it now, as strong as it's ever been coming to the Yucatan Channel over here. Obviously the theory about the wind shear in here is a little bit off because the storm is still getting sustained. You got a tiny ball of feedback convection over here. You can maintain that under a jet stream. It really is possible. It really is. So we're going to have to continue to watch this as it comes through. This is something that South Florida should be keeping an eye on. Cuba should be watching closely. I think it was very prudent of the Hurricane Center to issue a tropical storm watch for the Keys at least, just in case, due to the uncertainty in the track. So folks in here should be watching. Cuba is already going to start getting affected by this today, and given the small size of the core, it could spare everybody if it just passes right through the straits. You're not going to get too bad of a weather here or here, but if it passes close enough to either coast, it could cause some issues, so people should be on the lookout for that. And remember, after Paula is out of the scene here, we're not quite done. The season has a couple more punches possibly left in the Caribbean. If you look by day 15 on the GFS, we're still cooking down here with below normal heights. You got your trough sticking into Alaska Ridge into the west with blocking over the top over here, and here's your alley of lower than normal heights getting directed up the eastern seaboard over here. You can see that's going to bring stuff out of the Caribbean. You got buildup of heat in here, gets lifted out. If we go over to the GFS, 11 to 15 day precipitation, you see the corridor of moisture coming out of the tropics up the eastern seaboard, and the Canadian shows the same thing, corridor of moisture coming up the eastern seaboard, so you can see where stuff happens in here. We look for mischief in the Southwest Atlantic Basin, Western Caribbean, that gets directed up towards the eastern seaboard. Florida, Cuba, Bahamas, these areas still have to be on the lookout for some more potential impact storms before the series out. We're up to 16. My forecast was for 18. We'll see how we do with that by the time we tally it all up, but you can see that we're going to have to continue watching this area of the world for at least the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll continue to be spared. We've been spared big hits on the United States so far this season. Let's hope that continues. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.